What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Jacked Ramsays. Whew. Yeah, it looks a little bit different. My camera broke, so I'm looking here instead of there. This is what happens when you move into a new place and you have some things set up and, well, things go weird. So, it's going to look weird. It's probably going to sound a little weird because I don't have any of my sound deadening things up here. But yeah, appreciate y'all. Good to be back. I'll kind of do one of these. It's kind of weird to stare into the light that's sitting over here. We'll get this place set up to the point of something. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Had a million things going on in my life, so this is where we are. Decided to take a break from everything and just kind of put some stuff back together. But here we are. The Trailblazers are back in the playoffs. Like, rate, view, subscribe, do all of the things. It's been so long since I've done one of these, I kind of forgot what I'm doing. Not really. I talk for 3 hours a day and then on every post-game show. So, number one, good to be back. Number two, it's super cool to have basketball that's meaningful back in place. It's been a long time since we've had that. 5 years, to be exact. There's a lot of things to kind of go through, but I think the most important thing right now is before we go into, well, what about the draft pick and what about them losing in the playoffs? They're going to get slaughtered by the Spurs. And look, man, I'm tired. I'm tired of bad basketball. I'm tired of meaningless basketball. It was super dope to have good basketball back. I enjoyed that. It was fun to just, it's the first time in a very long time that I've been able to just sit down and watch a game and just kind of take it in and not be in the arena, not do a post-game show, not be up until midnight or get home at midnight or whatever, and watch them play basketball that had something to it. But more than that, before we dive into the esoteric stuff and all of your questions, you had an all-timer performance last night. Deni Avdija with 41, 12, and 7. I don't know how you can come out of that game and not go, damn, that's a performance. I think Portland fans got spoiled for a very, very, very long time with one Damian Lamont Ollie Lillard Sr. and his greatness. And when he was gone, people realized just how good he was and how hard it is to replace that kind of production, that kind of leadership, that kind of just dudeness, right? And over the last 3 games, Denny has been playing out of his mind. Said, get on my back. I will carry you to the finish line. And it's a pretty damn cool thing to see. When you've got 41 on 22 shots, you shoot 68% from the field. You get to the line 13 times, left some meat on the bone there. But you have 12 assists, you have 7 rebounds, you've got 2 block shots. Like, I don't know what else you want from the guy. Plays 38 minutes. He was everything for you last night. He was a dyed-in-the-wool superstar last night. And over the last 3 games, he's just been hooping. And now he's going to get some days off before they take on the Spurs, which I think all those guys need for sure. Whether it's Denny, Jrue is older, so I'm sure he appreciates it. Jerami coming off the calf, Shaden coming off the calf. 2 played every single game. I'm sure he would probably like it. I'm sure the bigs, Don and Rob, are a little banged up because they're bigs. And Chris Murray's always beat up. Y'all have no idea what that dude plays through. That dude is a soldier and a half, and hell, Tease too. So well-earned rest before they take on the San Antonio Spurs, but heck of a game. Heck of a game, Spurs or the Suns looked like they were going to do some stuff in that first quarter, and I was like, oh, buddy. Booker comes out hot, goes 4-6, gets to the line. But one thing that I liked was a lot of what the Suns did was very how do I put this? It wasn't necessarily iso ball. It was more of a the Booker and Jalen Green show. And they didn't look as connected. I think a big part of that is having Grayson Allen out there who's going to give you some floor spacing, give you that floor balance. where both Green and Book had to do a lot. And in the early going for Portland, Jrue said, I got this. Now, it wasn't efficient, but he got him when they needed. Deni was okay in the opening period. Everybody else has kind of contributed there, and they were able to close that quarter out and felt like they belonged. Second quarter, they did the same thing again to close out that quarter, take the lead going into the half, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, that was unexpected. That's cool. Third quarter was an absolute slog for everybody. Phoenix comes out in the fourth, and you're like, ooh, buddy, where's this going to go? Then Portland kind of stepped on it, and with the final, 6 minutes, just said, we're going to take care of business. We're going to take care of business, and that's going to be it. And that kind of play to erase a 11-point deficit in the fourth quarter and to just find a way, that's massive. For a team that has not found a way a lot of times this season, that has played games that are close and something just gets away. You saw it against Denver, a week ago. They build that massive lead, and then it just fur ball up. But, when you've got Denny out there closing for you, 14 points in the quarter, 4 or 5 in the field, 3 boards, 3 assists, knocks down a huge 3. Jerami knocks down a handful of threes. Defensively, I thought Jerami was great. I thought two struggled a little bit offensively. I thought defensively he really made Booker. I think Jerami, 2, and Jrue did a great job slotting through and making life difficult for Book. They said, hey, anybody else, Jalen Green's going to keep hitting, and we're going to make things difficult for him, but that's the path we're going to go down. And that gets you enough to get a 4-point victory. And it's, the biggest win probably in 5 years. It's a game that matters. It's a game that had bright lights on it. And I think the biggest thing coming into that game was, okay, you know about Jrue, you know about Rob, Tease, and Jerami. Like, those guys have playoff experience. Those guys are veterans. Those guys, you kind of know what to expect from those guys and how they're going to perform. Not necessarily the results, but you know how they're going to comport themselves. You didn't know about Denny. You didn't know about DC. You didn't know about 2. You didn't know about Shea. You didn't know about Scoot. You didn't know about Chris. Right? That's your rotation right there. And I thought, obviously, Denny was nails. Jrue was really good. And you want to take away his efficiency from 2, that's fine. But 4 of 11 from 3, you'll take that damn near any single night. Jerami was incredibly clutch, especially in that second half. I thought you had a good little stint from Shea, especially in that first half when things were starting to get a little chunky. He provided him a boost. I thought Scoot had a really good shift. I also thought he had a really bad shift. 2, if he hits another 3 in this game, his box score looks totally fine. 3 of 9. If he goes 4 of 9 instead of 3 of 9, it's and 3 of 7 from 3 instead of 2 of 7, he would have been fine. He ends up with 4 steals. I thought he was really good gambling in the lanes. Rob missed some shots, but other than they got kind of killed in the plus minus when he was out there. Same with Batiste, but I think that was more or less the offense just really chunking along. Chris only played 12 minutes, but in his 12 minutes, there was plus 10. I thought he was really productive. Grabbed an offensive board, get the ball moving, just reliable old Chris Murray in his 12 minutes. But you leaned on Denny, Jrue, and Tumani for, 2 for 36 minutes, Denny and Jrue both for 38 minutes. And then closing in those defensive lineups with Chris, 2, Tease, Jerami, and Jrue. And Jerami gets the assignment on Book, and they take the ball out of his hand and make anybody else beat him. Book did pass up on a shot, but I thought the Blazers' game plan overall was really good. I thought the things that they I thought the way that they went about the game was professional. I thought it was really cool to see. I'm just kind of sitting there, just kind of nodding my head and going, all right, there we go. But for me, the biggest takeaway outside of them going back to the playoffs and playing meaningful basketball is that Deni Avdija kind of stamped it. Denny, the only players who can say that they are at or above what Denny's production has been this year. He's going to finish at 24, 6, and 6. I mean, it's more like 24, 7, and 7, but he 24.2 was at 6.7 and 6.9, I think, assists and rebounds. So basically 24, 7, and 7. Talked about it on the radio today. There have been 16 players in the NBA that since the advent of the three-point line have averaged 24, 6, and 6, and it's guys like LeBron, Luka, Giannis. Like it's a dude. The only guy on there who's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer or a top 75 NBA player is Julius Randle. Everybody else is one of them dudes. If you have questions about him now, or if you had him, I don't know how you can continue to have him, right? And when a guy goes out there and shows you what he is, that's pretty damn impressive. Like I don't know how you can sit there and go, well, I don't know about Denny. I don't know, man. He's given you basically 25, 26, 7-7, 25, 8-7 now for the last 15 months. If he was doing this in Mickey Mouse March or over, January, February, something like that, but he's been doing this for a year plus. And it's been kind of funny and fun to see some of the national writers and writers and media members from other teams and other markets kind of be like, dude, this guy's playing. And it wasn't just, oh, look at him get to the free throw line. He just went to the rim relentlessly. And when you know what he's going to do and he's still going to get there, that's what stars do. You say, I'm going to do this thing, try stop me. It's, the whole idea of Giannis doesn't have a bag. Okay, then stop him. Stop him from putting up MVP caliber production over and over and over again. I don't care if it's sexy or not. Do you produce? Does your production lead to winning? And when he's rolling like this, yeah, it does. It's not just 41 points, it's 12 dimes. I mean, there's no grifting your way to the free throw line to get 41, 12, and 7. That's just getting it done. I'm not going to do too much on the Spurs yet. I'll probably do another one either before that game or after that first game, if I can actually get my questions to load up here. I did my thing. I submitted my ask for your questions, and I'm not going to get to the off-season ones just yet. We're going to keep things a little tighter. We'll get to the off-season ones when we get closer to the off-season. They still got at least 4 more games. We'll see how that goes. So let's dive into them. Benjamin Schicks asks, how well do you think Donovan Clingan can contain or affect Wemby? Anyone else suited to help with that cause? I mean, this is going to be the biggest ask. I'm not going to be surprised if they kind of give Wemby the Kevin Durant treatment, maybe put somebody smaller on him at times to allow Donovan to stay at the rim. I can see Tumani spending time on him, which is kind of terrifying because Wemby's almost a foot taller. But Wemby's going to shoot over Don, so he's going to shoot over two too. But you might be able to have somebody who can bother his dribble because it's a long way to travel for that ball. That's one of those things that, infamously J.J. Barea bothered LeBron James just because a smaller guy can get under his hands, get under his dribble, make it more difficult for him. Yeah, he can overpower him. Yeah, he can shoot over the top of him, but it's harder for him to get to his spots because he's got to protect the ball a little bit more. Maybe can't load up as much. I would imagine the Blazers' game plan is going to be to try to keep Don in the paint as much as possible. So I think you'll see Rob on him, you'll see Donovan on him, and you'll probably see Tumani on him. You'll probably see Chris on him probably in the minutes that he's out there to try to give a different look. That's one of the things when you get in the playoffs, you always want to try to give different looks and not always see the same thing. And, how much they go into a 1-2-2 or 2-1-2, how far up they press, how much they try to keep Wemby off the ball, how much more they try to make him work. Those are going to be the questions. I think that's what you're really looking at. But I think on the other side, that's actually going to be a bigger question for Don. Like Donovan's going to be able to rebound. He's going to be able to protect the paint as long as he can stay near the rim. But offensively, what can they get out of him? Because I don't think Victor Wembanyama is going to lead that paint. They're going to say, Donovan Clingan wants to shoot 7-8 threes a game. Go for it. We'll live with that. If that's what beats us, if that's what kills us, fine. We'll, if you want a semi-recent Blazers memory of how a team might go about that, go no further than New Orleans Pelicans. They said, Al-Farouq Aminu, take 6 threes a game, shoot 45%. We don't care. We want Damian Lillard to not be that guy. And it's going to make it difficult for Denny. It's going to make it difficult for Jeremy. It's going to make it difficult for Scoot and Shaden. Anybody who wants to try to get to the rim, that 7'6" monster is going to be sitting there. And Don's going to have to find a way to be physical, to body him, to wear Wemby out, knock down some shots, and finish around the rim against the best defensive player probably in the history of basketball. Good luck with that. But as far as like how well he can contain him, this is Wemby's first playoffs too, but I also think Wemby's going to be one of those guys. I think he's going to be... He'll probably have a dud game here or there, a poor shooting game, but he's going to have his impact. He's going to get his rebounds. He's going to get his assists. He's going to get his blocks. He's going to get his steals. He's that guy. So It's going to be a team effort. I think it's going to be a situation where it's more about containing the guard play. It's containing Steph, Castle. It's containing De'Aaron Fox, and not letting those guys beat you as badly, because Wemby's just going to find a way to get his. Blazers being among the top offensive rebounders, second chance point getters. Is there an opportunity for that to continue, or the Spurs likely to shut that down? Look, Wemby's a great rebounder, but Don's the best or second best offensive rebounder in the league, depending on how you want to slice it. He's one of the top 3 for sure. They're going to have to feast on that. I mean, Klingon didn't have a great game against the Suns, but he did have 6 offensive rebounds. How well he works in that vein, in the sense of how many offensive rebounds did he get and they can turn into points, that's going to be something they have to rely on. But you have to weigh the value of the possession. So possessions go down in the playoffs, things slow down, and you have to capitalize. So are you willing to concede some transition defense to really hit the offensive glass, which the Blazers have done, but they've also gotten killed in transition this year. So you kind of have to weigh that on, like, are you going to really commit to the offensive glass, or are you going to commit to getting back and kind of playing in the mud? Ugh. Those are the Tiago questions, right? But there's certainly some opportunities there. The Spurs are long, but they're not the biggest team in the world. They play a lot of guards, but you also have some good rebounding guards. So it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. There's certainly an opportunity there, and that's what the things that the coaching staff is going to weigh, and how aggressive they want to be with those things. So I think those are good questions as far as, like, why or how, and I think those are the best ways to kind of explore a playoff matchup, especially game by game. Kenny asks, why only 17 minutes for Scoot when he's impactful at both ends with a healthy plus-minus? Said this on the radio today. I'll say it again here. You ever want to know how much a coach trusts a player? Look at how many minutes they play. It's not an anti-Scoot thing. It's not an anti-Shaden thing. It's not an anti-young player thing. Tumani played 36. Denny played 38. Jrue played 38. Jeremy's on a minutes restriction. He bumped up right against it. Just look at who they trust. Look how many minutes they play. I thought Scoot had some good shifts. I thought he had a bad shift. He looked lights were a little too bright for him at times. I thought he was okay. I definitely thought he got a little too juiced at times, and I think Tiago decided to pull the leash on that a little bit. I thought Shaden looked really good in his first shift. I thought he was so-so in his other shifts. Nothing negative, but looked like he was kind of floating through some stuff. Maybe his light's a little bright for him. Not to say that they're cooked or anything like that. It's just that's the meaning of playing games that mean something. It ratchets up, and it's only going to ratchet up more as you get into the playoffs. So I think that's one of those things you're looking at as far as who coaches trust, especially in winning time. So I think it's something to monitor, something to watch. But I think it's an interesting one. A larger scale question as pertains to Scoot from Chris Fletcher. Can Scoot become the next gen Jrue or the Blazers playoff risers? Could we see a shocking upset in Portland takes on the giant that is San Antonio? One at a time. If Scoot becomes the next gen Jrue, woo, buddy, it's a good draft pick. You know, like 17-7-6, 17-7-5, I think is what Jrue was averaging at one point in time before he had the calf injury. He's playing out of his mind. Like, if Scoot turns into that, that's a great pick. I mean, Jrue's like a fringe Hall of Famer. 2-time champion, Olympic gold medalist, multiple-time All-Star, all-defensive team. Like, Scoot touches that, brother. Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up for that. I don't think he does, but we'll see. Are the Blazers playoff risers? I talk for a living, I swear. Denny is. I think Jrue is. I think Rob is. We'll see with everybody else. This is a job interview for more than Tiago. It's a job interview for basically the Blazers roster. I think the roster that you saw, the lineup or the rotations that you saw against Phoenix, that's probably what you're going to see against the Spurs. I think it's going to be those guys. You might see a Blake Wesley for, whatever defensive substitution or something along those lines. But outside of that, I think you're seeing what you're seeing for the most part, unless it gets into garbage time. This is an opportunity not only for Tiago, but for those other young guys. Not even the young guys. It's an opportunity for Denny. It's an opportunity for Donovan. It's an opportunity for Two. It's an opportunity for Chris. It's an opportunity for Scoot, Shaden, everybody. Who's going to be a part of the next iteration of the Blazers? And you've got a new owner that's sitting there, and it could be a short. It could go 4-0. It could go 4-1. It could go 4-2. It could go 4-3. Whatever it is, you aren't guaranteed these opportunities, and you've got to do the best you can with them. And it's going to be interesting to see who does well under the lights, who makes adjustments, who is okay sacrificing whatever style of play for the betterment of the team. Like, those are all questions I think you need to answer about basically everyone not named Jrue, Jerami, Rob, and Tease. Those guys' roles are pretty well known. I think Donovan's role is pretty well known. Same with Denny and two. But, what's the ask? I think it's the question you have to go in is what's the ask and how do they deliver on the ask? And if at the end of the series, even if they lose, guys are meeting or exceeding the ask, I think you can call those risers. You can call those guys 16-game players, whoever they are. I think that's a fun one. Could we see a shocking upset and Portland takes down the Giant? I mean, that's why you play the game, but the math is strongly against it. I picked the Spurs to come out of the West this year, the beginning of the season. I think they're even better than I thought they would be. I think they're a nightmare matchup for the Thunder. I think the only team that really has a chance against them as far as matchups is Denver. But we'll see. I mean, it'd be a heck of a story. Blazers knock off the Spurs. That'd be a heck of a story, and you would have to do some real evaluation around who stays, who goes, and how much you're changing up this team. And what is the addition of the letter O coming back next year? What does that mean? A bunch of you asked this, so I'm not going to ask any, or I'm not going to answer anybody specifically. If Dame comes back, it would be the single biggest shocking thing I've seen in covering the NBA in 14 years. Hands down. He has said it publicly. He has said it privately to me a dozen times that he is not coming back this year. Like, no matter what. I think there's a quote out there from him, like somebody asked him, like, some version of, what if they're in the NBA Finals and they have a chance to win a title? And Dame's answer was something along the lines of, well, if they made it there without me, they definitely don't need me. Like, I don't think, don't get me wrong, I think very, very, very much believe he wants to come back. I don't think he is coming back. I think there's two very different things there at play, right? So, Rob asks, Cronin and Tiago, who's returning next year. I know it's more grand scheme. I mean, Joe Cronin's got the endorsement of the owner, so I think he's coming back, and I think there's a bunch of reporting out there, and I'll say the same thing from what I've heard. The Blazers are scouring the market to see who's available as far as coaching. I don't think anything is secure there. But from what I understand, Joe is going to be retained, and I don't see why you wouldn't. I think he's done probably a B-plus job. The guy that scored 41 last night was a pretty big trade. I think the haul they got from Damian Lillard was pretty damn good. I think trading for Jrue Holiday was a pretty good move for this team. Like, you just kind of go down the list of moves that they made and the moves that they didn't make. I don't think you can say otherwise. And I think Tiago, considering all the circumstances, has probably been a B to B plus as well. Not many coaches have stepped in and been acting head coach after night one of an NBA season when the head coach gets arrested and indicted on federal charges. So, and then missing their backcourt for basically 3 months, missing two of their best players for 2 months, Scoot missing 60 games, Shaden missing 20 plus games, Denny missing however many goes at 20 or 18 games with his back, like all that, and they finished 42-40. I think Tiago's got a pretty good case. Tiago finished the season 42-39, now 43-39, even though the play-in game doesn't count, but pretty good. More off-season questions. Most people are just generally excited. Slater says, I've heard folks say Denny can't be a number one guy on a contender, or that his game is too dependent on refs and whether they choose to blow the whistle. What do we need to see from Denny to prove he's definitely a number one guy if we haven't seen already? Look, in my mind, Denny is a number one on basically any team in the league. I don't know if he's a number one on a title contending team. I think he's a really, really, really good number two. Like, if he's your number one, I think you need to have two other guys that are pretty damn good. I think you need to kind of have a quasi OKC model. I think it needs to be kind of a three-headed monster, although Chet's not obviously the scorer, but SGA's scoring is so high, and the rest of the team is so defensive-minded that any defensive concerns about SGA are totally washed away, and he's totally fine on that to begin with anyways. But let's see what happens when they throw a 25-a-game score and Damian Lillard next to him and see what the offense looks like. I think that's the biggest question. But if Dame's 90% or better from what he was pre-Achilles with Denny, I mean, you throw in some improvements from Donovan. Two's an all defensive caliber player. Jrue Holiday's an all defensive caliber player. Jerami Grant, if he's coming off your bench, like, I think it's a pretty damn good team. Just adding Dame, and I don't think just adding Dame is the only thing they're going to do. I think you're going to see some pretty sizable changes in the summer. But we'll get to that as we get to it. Another kind of large scheme question as pertains to Denny. Has Denny played himself into being completely untouchable, even in a Giannis trade? I mean, I think so. Like, if Denny's getting traded, you're getting back one of the top 7 players in the league. I don't think they would do that any other way. He's on the best non-rookie scale deal in the entire league. Like, the fact that his production is that high, that he's developed here, that is a pelt on the wall for the front office and the coaching staff, like, those things matter, as weird as that may sound. And his contract, you put all that stuff together, they aren't moving him unless they're getting a dyed-in-the-wool absolute monster. Absolute certified monster. Not only that, it's hard to trade him because his contract value is so low. So I would be pretty stunned if you did trade him for some kind of package. It would have to be like one of those kind of players, or like every pick, not, it's that team's like entire draft haul. Like 5, 6. I mean, if Desmond Bane goes for 4 ones, Denny's going for 5 or 6. So. And somebody else asked, what's Denny's ceiling in your opinion? I think you're kind of seeing it. He's 25 years old going into his prime. I think he's a 25, 7-7 guy, which, again, I've listed other guys since, the 3-point era. It's, LeBron, Luka, Giannis, SGA, Steph Curry. It's Russell Westbrook. It's guys, they're MVPs. And I don't think Jason Tatum's on there as well. So I don't think Denny's MVP caliber. I don't think he's a top 5, top 7 player, but I think you could see him being a top 10 when the list is like more like 10 to 15. Like, if you look at his numbers, they're very close to Cade Cunningham's, and Cade is another guy on that list. And if the Blazers play themselves into a top 3 seed and Denny's putting up 24, 7, and 7, you could see him get some real votes. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Anton Smith asks, there are rumors about Dunn won't pay over $1 million for head coach next year. This is BS, right? You'll make the move that helps us win. I wouldn't say that they're rumors, considering I've heard it from about 36 people. So that's something to be seen. I know I said I wasn't going to go much into the offseason stuff, but this one kind of pertains to this in the sense of like what it means for Thiago. Yeah, the word is out there that the Blazers are trying to dangle a very, very, very cheap contract for a coach. I've heard of 3 different coaches that they've interviewed. Talked to somebody who knows one of the coaches directly, and he confirmed that as well. Yeah, not a great look. I think that's easy to go down that path. But it's one of those things that I'm leery of, to say the least. This is not a I hate Tom Dunn and he's a monster. No. These are just kind of like when you talk about new ownership, these are when I always said, it can always get worse. Be careful what you wish for. Or, hey, Jody Allen's not that cheap with some things. This is kind of in that vein. So I would just say that I am monitoring the situation. I had a lot of people ask me about it at Hoop Summit, different front offices. Not wild. A question here. Do you believe that there's another scenario where the Blazers can take 1 or 2 games in the series other than doubling Wemby and making others beat the Blazers? Yeah, I mean, there's 2 different paths. Now, Wemby is not Jokic, but I think you kind of have to make a decision on how you want to play him because he's so unique with his size and what he can do. He's obviously not the scorer or the passer that Jokic is, but I think you have to, his impact, even in limited minutes, he played 28 or 29 minutes a game, averaging 24 and 11. I think it's 24, 11, and 4, 24, 11, and 5, something like that, and then 4 stocks, something ridiculous. I think you do have to make a choice whether you're going to live and die by Wemby and single cover him and make sure you take everybody else out, or you're going to get the ball out of his hand and make everybody else beat you. I think those are the 2 kind of veins you want to play in. And I think it's a bit of a scary proposition because their guard play is very good. De'Aaron Fox is really good. Steph Castle is really good. Dylan Harper has shown that he can be explosive. Harrison Barnes is a pro. You know, they've got guys on that team that they can hurt you. So I think you just have to make your choice and kind of live and die by that sword on any given night. I think it's going to be a game-by-game situation. So that's ultimately where I end up in this. Darkstar had something last night, or earlier today about last night that I thought was pretty cool. How wild is it for two key defensive possessions at the end of the game last night? None of Denny, Donovan, nor Rob were in. I was completely on board with that decision. And I think that pertains to Tiago, and I haven't really talked about Tiago much yet. I thought Tiago coached a pretty damn good game last night. And for all of his out-of-bounds plays, or he's over his head, or Chauncey sucks, see how much better Tiago. Like, players play. But, and as you've listened to me over the last 14 years, I am not somebody who sits there and says that coaching is the end-all, be-all. But I think in the playoffs is when you see it magnified. Games of magnitude is when you see it magnified. And I thought Tiago did really well with his adjustments last night. I thought Tiago's rotations were really good. I thought he was very timely in his decisions. I thought how and when they went about their business was, again, timely. And to the last couple of defensive possessions, you had Jrue, Tease, Chris, and Jerami on the floor. And I think that's probably your best defensive lineup if you want to switch everything across. You can argue for Rob if you want to secure rebounds, but I also think Tu and Chris are great rebounders for their wing spots, and then Jrue's a good rebounding guard. So there's certainly an argument to be made for that group, but we've seen that group sans, I think, Jerami, when he was out with Rob, they used that lineup against the Clippers. I think it was closing the second quarter, and defensively it was great, and then offensively I think they had two possessions with it, definitely a little clunky, but they ended up scoring on both possessions. I was like, hey, it was ugly, but the ball went in. But I do want to give Tiago Splitter and his staff credit last night. I thought that they came in with a game plan. I'm going to be very interested to see what that looks like going into the playoffs, because you're going to come in with your game plan and it could work. Certain things could work. Certain things could blow up in your face. And I think that's going to be something super interesting to see, just how much they do or don't do on any given night. Right? Like that's the thing that I kind of wonder what that ends up looking like. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, right? As far as like there's a lot of different things, and I want to sit down. I want to go through all the tape. I want to go through all the numbers. I want to go through as many things as I can as it pertains to the Spurs before I dive heavy into the Spurs stuff. Mostly Blazers adjacent right now. But for right now, I just want to enjoy this. It's been 5 years being in that building the last couple of years, been playing so many games that didn't matter. This is pretty cool. Deni Avdija is a dude. I think Donovan Clingan has grown this year. I think Tu has grown this year. I think Jrue and Jerami have been nails for them. I think Chris Murray has played some really good basketball when they really needed it in the non-box score way. I think you've seen flashes from Scoot. I think Shaden improved. Like, I don't know how you go down this path of this season not being a success. And I was going to wrap it up, but I guess I should address the draft pick of it all. I've said it for months. I think keeping the draft pick was the more tangible asset than the playoff experience. That's operating more black and white. That's operating on bottom line. And I think there's something much more holistic. I mean, just look at the videos from the watch parties and the reactions on social media and walking around the city today and how excited people are and how awesome it is. And it's like, well, you can't get caught up in that. I'm like, you can, though, because that's why you play the games. You don't play it on a spreadsheet. Like, I love the spreadsheet. I'm a nerd. I'm a huge analytics dork. Everybody knows that. But I also think that this is why you play the game, is to see these guys in these moments and have those opportunities like Deni Avdija had last night. You don't get that if you're like, well, this doesn't really matter. Tell Deni Avdija and tell Tiago Splitter and that team, if you haven't heard it or seen it, Tiago in the post-game locker room, tell them it didn't matter. Tell the people who don't care about a draft pick that it didn't matter. They're there. you can make an argument that getting off that pick now and freeing up everything is better in the long run. I can hear that argument. I disagree. I think I look at it as a 0% interest rate loan. You don't pay it off until you have to, especially in this draft class, because next year's draft class is pretty rough. But now you're freed of everything. You don't have to worry about any convoluted stuff as it pertains to whatever draft picks, and I know people were worried about that in 2028, which, for goodness sakes, you don't need to do that. That is 2 years away. There's a lot that could happen between now and then. That's worrying for worrying's sake. But now you're going to wipe your hands of it. It's done. The transaction that shall not be named by, conducted and made by the GM, who also shall not be named, is done and over with. And that's basically the last remnant of that era. As far as what you're holding on to, what you're hanging on to. So that's gone, that's done, that's put away, and it's at least something you read off of and be done with it. And then from now on, business is being conducted as usual. So gonna wrap it up there. Appreciate you guys, love you guys, good to be back. I am tired, I need to go cook dinner. But we will do some of these throughout the playoffs, however long they go. Unless something changes, Joe and I aren't doing Rip City Wrap-Up during the playoffs. Our contracts ended yesterday, day before, something like that. So that's the whole contract life. If that changes, we'll let you know. But appreciate you guys riding with us. Appreciate you this season, and apologies for being gone this season here. It wasn't easy for me to not write and not be here, but I'm back-ish. Start writing during the off season as well, now that I have some time again. So if you're over on the Patreon, thanks for sticking with me. I do appreciate you guys more than you know. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. Enjoy the rest before the Portland Trailblazers are back in the playoffs against the San Antonio Spurs Friday night for the first time in 5 years. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful night. Talk soon. Bye.